There's something most people believe they already understand, when in truth, they've never truly grasped it. That something is angels. We grow up with a familiar image: gentle beings dressed in pure white, soft wings outstretched, serene smiles like figures in a painting. But if you actually open the Bible and read it closely, you'll notice something that makes you pause. Most of the angels described there look nothing like that at all. There are angels with 4 different faces on a single head, creatures whose entire bodies are covered in eyes, hundreds of eyes, all looking in every direction at once. There are angels standing guard at the gates of Eden, wielding flaming swords that never stop turning. And when some angels appear, the first thing they say isn't a greeting, it's, "Do not be afraid." Because without those words, anyone who saw them would collapse, trembling, unable to stand. The Bible doesn't speak of just one kind of angel. There are many ranks, many forms, each with a completely different purpose. Some protect, some deliver messages, some wage war, and some worship without ceasing, day after day, year after year, forever without rest. Today, we're going to journey through every type of angel mentioned in the Bible, from the most familiar to the ones so strange you'll hardly believe they belong in a sacred text. Part 1. What are angels? Their origin and nature. Before we dive into the different types of angels, there's a foundational question many people never truly stop to ask. What are angels? Where do they come from? And why did God create them in the first place? The Bible doesn't dedicate a single, neatly organized chapter to explaining angels like a textbook would. Instead, pieces of information about them are scattered throughout its pages, from Genesis to Revelation, and it's up to us to piece them together to see the full picture. The word angel comes from the Hebrew malach and the Greek angelos. Both simply mean messenger. From the very name itself, we already understand much of their nature. They are not independent gods. They do not possess power of their own. They are created beings, brought into existence for a purpose, to deliver messages, to carry out the will of the one who made them. But when were they created? This is where things get interesting. The Bible never states it outright in a single clear sentence, but the book of Job offers a striking clue. When God asked Job where he was when the foundations of the earth were laid, he describes a moment when the morning stars sang together and all the sons of God shouted for joy. This suggests that angels already existed before the world was created. They were the first witnesses of creation, standing at the edge of existence, watching and rejoicing as the universe took shape. Another thing many people don't realize is that angels are not humans who have died and gone to heaven. This is a very common misconception, especially in movies and folklore. The Bible never says that. Angels and humans are entirely different kinds of beings, created in different ways, with different natures and purposes. Humans were formed from the dust of the ground and given the breath of life. Angels are never described that way. They are spiritual beings, belonging to a level of reality that humanity has only just begun to glimpse. Angels also do not have gender in the biological sense that humans do. Although they often appear in male form and are referred to with masculine pronouns, that does not mean they are truly male or female as we understand it. Jesus once said that in heaven, people neither marry nor are given in marriage, and angels are the same. They exist beyond the biological limits that define human life. One final point to understand before we go deeper: angels can choose. They are not machines that simply execute commands. The clearest evidence of this is that some angels rebelled and fell, led by Lucifer. If angels had no free will, such a rebellion would have been impossible. And that event changed the very nature of the universe we now live in. With that foundation in place, we can finally begin to explore each type of angel with real depth. Part 2. Seraphim, beings of sacred fire. If you ask people which angels in the Bible are the most striking, you'll hear many different answers. But if you read the text closely, it's hard to find anything more overwhelming than the seraphim. They appear only once in the entire Bible, in chapter 6 of the book of Isaiah. But that single moment is enough to make them unforgettable. Isaiah describes a vision of the Lord seated on a high and exalted throne. Surrounding him are beings attending his presence, the seraphim. Each one has 6 wings. With 2 they cover their faces, with 2 they cover their feet, and with 2 they fly. They call out to one another, their voices so powerful that the doorposts shake, and the whole place fills with smoke. And what they proclaim is this: Holy, holy, holy is the Lord of hosts. The whole earth is full of his glory. The name seraphim comes from the Hebrew root seraph, meaning to burn. They are often understood as burning ones, beings ablaze with divine intensity, not burning as in being consumed, but burning as in overflowing with such spiritual vitality that light radiates from them uncontrollably. One of the first mysteries is why they use their wings to cover their faces and their feet. This detail has drawn deep reflection from scholars for centuries. A widely accepted understanding is that even the most powerful beings, those closest to God, cannot fully behold his absolute holiness. They cover their faces not out of weakness or fear, but out of reverence, a recognition that there are dimensions of the one they serve that are beyond even their capacity to endure directly. Another striking detail is their role. In this passage, the seraphim are not fighting, nor are they delivering messages. They worship. That is what they do. They stand around the throne of God and continually declare his holiness. Yet within the same vision, there is a moment when one seraph does something more. When Isaiah cries out that he is a sinful man with unclean lips, unworthy to stand before God, one of the seraphim flies to him. Using tongs, it takes a burning coal from the altar and touches it to Isaiah's lips, declaring that his guilt is taken away. The fire does not destroy him, it purifies him. It's an incredibly powerful image. These beings of sacred fire do not only sing. When needed, they become agents of transformation, of cleansing, of renewal. The seraphim appear only once, but that one appearance has left an imprint that echoes throughout the entire history of theology. Part 3. Cherubim, guardians, not childlike angels. If seraphim are little known, cherubim are the opposite. Their name appears everywhere, from religious art to the nicknames given to adorable infants. But the most popular image of cherubim, chubby little angels with tiny wings and bows, could hardly be further from the biblical reality. In the Bible, cherubim first appear right after Adam and Eve are driven out of the Garden of Eden. God places them at the east of the garden, along with a flaming sword that turns in every direction, to guard the way to the tree of life. This is not the image of something cute or harmless. It is the image of powerful guardians, sentinels standing at the boundary between the divine and the human world. The most detailed description of cherubim comes from the book of Ezekiel. The prophet sees them in a vision, and what he describes is so strange that modern readers often have to go back and read it again just to be sure they understood it correctly. Each cherub has 4 faces: a human face, a lion's face, an ox's face, and an eagle's face. They have 4 wings, their legs are straight, and their feet are like the hooves of a calf, gleaming like polished bronze. Around and beneath them are wheels, not ordinary wheels, but wheels intersecting at right angles, with rims covered in eyes. When the cherubim move, the wheels move. When they stop, the wheels stop. When they rise, the wheels rise with them. For centuries, this imagery has sparked both awe and debate. Some theologians see it as a symbol of God's omnipresence and limitless power. Others interpret the four faces as representing the fullness of creation in every direction. However it is understood, one thing is clear. Cherubim are not decorative beings. They are weighty with the presence of the divine. And that is why, when God commands Moses to build the Ark of the Covenant, he instructs him to place 2 golden cherubim on its cover. This place is called the mercy seat, the point where God meets with humanity. Cherubim do not merely guard, they mark the very space of divine presence, like living signposts declaring that this place is unlike any other. Part 4. Archangels, commanders on the invisible battlefield. When it comes to angels, there are 2 names that almost everyone, whether religious or not, has heard at least once in their life: Michael and Gabriel. And there is a third name, less common in the canonical Bible, but present in the Book of Tobit within Catholic tradition: Raphael. They are known as archangels, and that title is not ornamental. It points to something very specific about their position within the hierarchy of the spiritual world. Michael is the name that appears most often and with the clearest role. In Hebrew, his name means, "Who is like God?" It is both a question and a declaration. In the book of Daniel, Michael is called one of the chief princes and the great prince who protects your people. He is not a messenger of gentle news. He is a warrior, the leader of heavenly armies in the battle against the forces of darkness. In the book of Revelation, there is a powerful scene describing a war in heaven, where Michael and his angels fight against the dragon, Satan, and the fallen angels. They prevail, and the enemy is cast down. This is the image of a general, not a herald. Gabriel, by contrast, carries an entirely different identity. His name means "God is my strength," or "the mighty one of God." But his primary role in Scripture is not to fight. It is to deliver messages of profound historical importance. It was Gabriel who came to Daniel to explain complex visions about the future. It was Gabriel who appeared to Zechariah to announce the birth of John the Baptist. And it was Gabriel who came to Mary with words that would forever change the course of human history. "Do not be afraid, Mary, for you have found favor with God." What stands out is that every time Gabriel appears, the person receiving the message is overwhelmed with fear and must be reassured. This reveals something important. Even when the purpose is to bring good news, the presence of such a being is not something a human can calmly endure. As for Raphael, in the book of Tobit, he introduces himself as one of the 7 angels who stand before the Lord. This suggests the existence of a distinct group of angels who hold positions closest to the throne of God, and that Michael, Gabriel, and Raphael are only the few names we have been allowed to know. Part 5. The Nameless Angels and the Encounters that Change Destiny. Not every angel in the Bible has a name. In fact, most of them don't, and some of the most dramatic and mysterious moments in all of Scripture come from encounters with these unnamed beings. Take the story of Abraham. One day, as he sits at the entrance of his tent in the heat of the day, he looks up and sees 3 men standing before him. There is no description of wings, no radiant light, no obvious sign of anything supernatural. They look like ordinary people. Abraham welcomes them in, washes their feet, and prepares a meal for them. During that meal, one of the 3 tells Abraham that his wife Sarah will bear a son, even though she is well past the age. Sarah overhears and laughs to herself, and the visitor asks, "Is anything too hard for the Lord?" That is not something an ordinary man would say. Jacob's story is even stranger. One night, alone by the Jabbok River, a man appears and wrestles with him until daybreak. It's unclear who began the struggle or why. They grapple through the night, and when the man cannot overpower Jacob, he touches Jacob's hip and throws it out of joint. Then he asks to be released because dawn is breaking. Jacob refuses, saying he will not let go unless he is blessed. The man blesses him and changes his name to Israel, meaning he who struggles with God. Afterward, Jacob says he has seen God face to face, and yet his life was spared. It is one of the most debated passages in the Old Testament. Who was the one wrestling with Jacob? An angel or God himself in some form? The text never states it directly, and perhaps that is intentional. The ambiguity forces the reader to wrestle with it as well. Then there is the angel who appears to Elijah in the wilderness, at a moment when the prophet is exhausted and ready to die. There is no grand speech, no sweeping revelation. The angel simply touches him and says, "Get up and eat," pointing to a cake of bread and a jar of water. Elijah eats, sleeps, and then the angel returns a second time and does the same. After that, Elijah has the strength to travel 40 days and 40 nights without further food. That angel has no name, no physical description, no blazing light, just a gentle touch and a few simple words. But it is exactly what Elijah needs in that moment. And maybe that is the point we're thinking about. The nameless angels in the Bible do not come to impress. They arrive at the right moment, say exactly what needs to be said, and do precisely what must be done. Nothing more, nothing less. Conclusion: what angels reveal about this world. After everything we've walked through, from the seraphim blazing around the throne of God to the cherubim guarding the gates of Eden, from Michael leading the armies of heaven to an unnamed angel who simply touches Elijah's shoulder and says, "Get up and eat," one truth begins to come into focus. This world is far greater than what we can see with our eyes. The Bible does not present angels to satisfy human curiosity. Every time an angel appears, whether in a form so overwhelming it causes people to fall to the ground, or in a form so ordinary it goes unnoticed, there is always a purpose behind it. They do not appear for their own sake. They appear because something greater is unfolding, and their presence is a sign that it matters to God. That means the moments in a person's life that seem small, a dream, a chance encounter, an unseen hand steadying us at just the right time, may carry far more meaning than we realize. The writer of Hebrews offers a line that only reveals its full weight after reflecting on angels. He writes, "Do not forget to show hospitality to strangers, for by doing so some have entertained angels without knowing it." Without knowing it. That may be the most thought-provoking part of all. The greatest angels in the Bible do not always arrive in blinding light or with the sound of trumpets. Sometimes they are simply a stranger standing at the entrance of your tent on a hot afternoon, waiting to see whether you will invite them in.